Yo, what's up? It's Primetime, Poulton, the Moral Compass. I'm here with the main event, Phil McNulty for La Pod Gods. Phil, man, what's going on?
Not much. Last time we talked about wrestling, we were just we thought we had Sacrifice that was around the corner. We haven't even discussed Revolution because the fallout from that has been even greater. So life is good with professional wrestling. This is going to be a show of shows for you all today.
Yeah, we have a lot to talk about, but first, what we need to talk about is Sea Dog and Codename Kill Switch. We are only we only have 30 plus hours left in the campaign. Things are heating up. 34 hours left. We're at $17,133. Since we last spoke, we unlocked the second stretch goal, which was the swimsuit print of Rebel and Neon. I'll show you that in a second. Here we go. Very nice. And we announced our final stretch goal at $23,000. That would be our first Sea Dog campaign at $23,000. Every backer gets an Ashcan preview of my upcoming book, Viking Wolf, which is going to be phenomenal. I absolutely love it. The artwork's fantastic. So you'll get an 8-page Ashcan preview. I don't know about you, Phil, but I am a huge Ashcan fan. Back in the 90s, I used to pick them up all the time. Um, all the old Image ash cans. Even Marvel got into the act with there was a Force Works ash can. I feel like there was an Iron Man one at one point. These are really cool. They're miniature comics basically with maybe about 8 pages of artwork. I just did one for U.S. Assassin 3. It was a big hit. So yeah, I want to do it with Viking Wolf. Get his first appearance out there. Uh, and give people like a little taste of what to expect when Viking Wolf launches later this year.
I wish I had my old Image ash cans. I remember I picked them up when I was a kid, and then somehow they got ripped, being a kid, just reading it and throwing it and tossing it to the side. Not the comics, but the ash cans. And now I'm just like, man, I wish I kept it because I had a Spawn
Yeah.
one, and I'm super upset. I don't know where it is.
Oh wow. Yeah, I know that Spawn Ash can is pretty valuable.
I know I had the Malibu on there. I am As a kid, you don't know. You're just like, "Oh, Dad, let me pick this up," and he's like, "Spawn, okay, whatever."
Yeah, so I just want to go over a few of the tiers. Our featured tier, the triple threat. You'll get both covers to book 2. That's a cover by Clint Helinski and a cover by the awesome Dan Fraga. This is Dan's layout right here. Tomorrow we're gonna possibly live stream with Dan Fraga, and he's gonna be drawing our cover live on air. So stay tuned to my Twitter. I'll be posting a link for that once I can confirm a time with Dan. But I'm looking forward to that. But also with the triple threat, you get a book 1 reprint featuring the new line art variant by John Malin. So triple threat gets you a cover by Clint, a cover by Dan Fraga, and a cover by John Malin. What more could you ask for? If you just want to do a single book, you can get the Clint book 2 cover for $25. You get the Fraga cover for $25, or you can get the mail-in line art variant for $25. The fan pack, $125, gets you all 3 books plus a sketch by Clint Helinski. And this is more than just a sketch. Clint goes all out. So you're basically getting a commission level a sketch from Clint. And if you had signed up for our mailing list, you could have got this for $100. So sign up for those mailing lists when you see them. And then finally, $200, the Babe box. I'm going to put myself big screen and show it off. The Babe box. Collector's case, Clint's artwork on the front, got the logo on the side. You open this bad boy up, and it will have 5 books inside. All 3 covers to book 1, both covers to book 2, a sketch from Clint, a sketch from me, a Sea Dog pop socket, trading cards, mini prints, ash cans. This thing will come loaded, and it's $200. It's a great value. So, if you want to be a baller, go for the Babe box.
It's amazing to hear all the stuff that's going to be in that, and I keep forgetting it's only $200. Like you got the price of a Clint commission and
Yeah.
a Mark Poulton commission. You're getting more than your money's worth with just those two items alone.
Yeah, no, pack a lot of value in there. So you definitely want to check it out. And there's 34 hours left. We'll probably go in demand, but we won't go in demand for long because we expect to have this book off to the printer real quick. We fulfilled the first book 2 months early, and I think we're going to do that again. So you know, pre-order while you can. But now it's time to talk some wrestling. And we're going to change it up a little. We're not going to talk last week's Impact Wrestling. We're going to talk Impact Sacrifice, their pay per view from the weekend. Pretty good show. I watched it. Big main event. Kind of a shocking ending for me. I wasn't. I wasn't really. It wasn't my thought going into this, but we'll get into the winners and losers. Starts off with a match that I think is a little questionable to be on the pay per view, but we get Decay, Crazy Steven, Black Taurus, if you're Phil, versus Reno Scum. Reno Scum, I feel like this should have been Triple XL here. Reno Scum's that like one team on the roster where I'm kind of surprised they are on the roster, you know?
You'd think, but
Yeah.
you do need some teams to take the loss. I agree. This isn't a pay-per-view quality match, and I'm glad. I think if Triple XL was in this, they'd have to get the win. So if Triple XL was in there, that's when it would happen.
We got Dexter Weeks in the chat. What's up, Dex? Thanks for joining us, man. Dex, you need to start watching wrestling again. You can join us on La Pod Gods. It would actually be interesting if you did start watching wrestling, so we could get a new person's take on Impact Wrestling, which we've been calling like the best wrestling going on for the last, I don't know, 8 months now.
and I think Dexter would really dig Dynamite because
Oh yeah,
it's such a damn good show, almost Attitude Era esque, almost like when you and him would go to an ECW show.
oh yeah, Dex. They had a barbed wire exploding death match, which we'll talk about. But yeah, I think you would really enjoy AEW. So Decay, they get the win over Reno Scum. I think this is just, like you were saying, Reno Scum was fodder to just lengthen their feud with Triple XL because that's the main people that they're feuding with right now. So come Rebellion, I wouldn't be surprised if it's Decay versus Triple XL.
No, Triple XL deserves to get the win, especially with what happened later in the night, because this pay per view was about to get wild.
Dex is saying those ECW days were the days. Yeah, we saw the infamous Kimono Wanalaya strip atop the ECW stage when their power went out, and Paul Heyman sent her out there to waste some time while they restored restored things. Some little kid almost pushed me off the top of the balconies to get a better view at Kimona. But it's funny, that was actually part of WWE's 50 most oh my god moments, and I could see me and Dex in the in the background on that clip. All right, next match we have. Who do we have?
We have Caleb with a K and Tennille
Yeah,
versus
there you
Havoc
go.
and Nevaeh.
Tennille Dashwood and Caleb with a K versus Havoc and Nevaeh, like you said. Sorry, I got the video playing. This was another surprise. But I guess if you're really paying attention to the storyline, not so much of a surprise. They've been playing off Nevaeh and Jessica Havoc, miscommunicating and thinking they should go their own ways. Tennille's been preying on that, trying to get Havoc to team with her. Tennille and Caleb with a K get the win. Caleb sneaks in and helps Tennille get the victory. Thoughts on this? I know Tennille has been a real disappointment, I think, as a addition to the Impact roster. I almost feel like the addition of Caleb, who I like, is just like bringing her down. She should be more of I don't know. Like the Impact women, the knockouts are ass kickers for the most part. It hasn't been booked the best. But
Mhm.
if you're in need of a contender for Deonna Purrazzo, Tennille, if she was treated more serious, she would be the go-to person because the whole knockouts division has been kind of floundering since Kylie Ray retired.
And I really don't have thoughts on this except Havoc deserves better. She
Yeah.
just is good on the mic, good backstage, great in the ring. This match was disturbing, and the fact that they don't know this their women's division is further. But this is the first two matches were sort of like, hey, but I think the next match is really when it started to pick up because then it was just like swerve, swerve, swerve every single match from this point out.
Yeah, no, these two matches would have for say AEW or WWE, they would have been on the pre-show, no doubt.
Mm.
Oh, we got Leroy in the chat. Thanks for joining us, Leroy. Even though you hate wrestling, we appreciate it. I know Phil's happy to see you.
I'm always happy to see Leroy.
Third match, Violent by Design. That's Cody Deaner and Joe Doring with Eric Young coming to the ring with them against James Storm and Chris Sabin. They have Jake something in their corner. So yeah, like you said, this is when things start heating up. It's back and forth. Eric Young, he's cheating, trying to help Violent by Design win, and who comes out to their aid, to the babyface's aid, but Rhino, who has been part of this storyline. If you remember, they attacked him and they attacked Heath Slater backstage a while ago. But Rhino turns on the baby faces. He gores Chris Sabin, helps Violent by Design win, and Rhino is now Violent by Design. How do you like this addition to the stable?
I love this so much. This is what Violent by Design needed to get over. This is what Rhino needed while Heath is away. I don't even want to see Heath and Rhino team up. Heath tweeted out at Rhino, "What the hell, man? We need to talk." This is exactly what Rhino needed. This is what Violent by Design needed. This is what's going to get them over as a heel faction. We know that Sabin and Storm are just kind of there because Alex Shelley is away until he gets fully vaccinated. So this is what needed to happen, and really took a pay per view that was here up here.
Yeah, and I don't know if they're gonna keep this continuity, but Rhino holds the tag team championship match whenever he wants it to cash it in. Actually, any championship. Does he bring this to Violent by Design? Are they the guys that are you know going to bring the tag team championship back to Impact Wrestling?
I don't know. I have my own theory on that as it
Yeah.
pertains to the bigger picture. If I were booking it just because it's Impact, this is a good way for for Finjuice, right, to sort of pass the championships on to another heel team.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't see it going that way. In fact, I think AEW is going to play a bigger part in these tag titles than Impact will.
Yeah. What a monster team Joe Doring and Rhino would be, though. A
Oh
couple of
boy.
hosses. Dex wants to know: does Black Taurus wear his mask when he wrestles? Yes, it's an awesome looking mask. He's visually a great character. He would make a great action figure if those Impact Wrestling figures we fantasy booked ever happened.
Black Taurus is never on my line.
Brutal, man. All right, so this is the match of the night, I think, coming up next. Eddie Edwards versus Brian Myers. No DQ. They called it harmless hold, a hold harmless match, which Brian Myers thought was a submission match, but it basically means no rules. This is a great match. Move of the night. Eddie Edwards does a backpack stunner off the top rope through a table. You can tell he heard it. He hurt his ass on that one.
But man, was that visually stunning. This was that
Yeah.
I saw it and I jumped out of
Yeah,
my chair. I thought that was, and and I'm glad the main event was further away from this match because this is a tough match to follow
yeah,
as it
absolutely.
is, and that main event kicked ass just as well. This is when the pay-per-view really started to hit fire. First with Rhino's turn, then this incredible match, which Brian Myers is a star. He is just going to be so good for their main event picture after this AEW storyline ends.
Yeah, so Brian Myers after the pay-per-view, he actually tweeted out spoilers, we already mentioned Finn Juice wins the tag team titles on Sacrifice, but he said, yeah, no, now that the tag team titles aren't part of Impact anymore, he's going to have to kick Ace Austin's ass because he wants some gold. So yeah, we've always said he should be in the X division, but the way they've been building him, he really should be in the main event picture. I don't know if there's been a better built wrestler in Impact this past year.
What's amazing is he debuted in with against Eddie Edwards with the
Yep.
Open Challenge, and just to see where both of these guys have come from that point. Eddie's on a mission of basically rebuilding himself as he always does. He sort of forces himself back into the main event. And this is Brian Myers just even I hate the term victory and defeat, but in pro wrestling it actually does count for something. This is victory and defeat for Brian Myers. This is an amazing match. It just shows you he is so good at what he does. He is the most professional wrestler.
Yeah, so if you didn't realize, Eddie Edwards gets the win. Oh, we got Leroy commenting pay-per-view. You guys pay extra to watch this stuff. So it's built into their network that they have, just like WWE. Impact has the Impact Plus. So you can watch these for free. And there's also like other ways to watch it too. So Phil and I, we didn't pay for it.
Leroy, don't blow up our spot. We've seen it. We'll say that.
All right. So next up, Knockouts Tag Team Championship. Fire and Flavor versus Jordan Grace and Jazz. What is going on here? Their women's division. Uh, it makes you scratch your head sometimes because Fire and Flavor obviously should win.
Mm-hmm.
They've been built great, but Jordan Grace takes the pinfall. Uh, they have no respect for Jordan Grace.
She's good as gone. She is good as
Yeah.
gone, in my opinion. You don't do this to a talent like Jordan Grace. She needs she needs AEW as much as all ego Ethan Page needs a AEW. Like they need to start getting the respect that they've truly earned. It's not even deserved. They earned it. Jordan Grace is so much better than this entire women's roster. I don't care. I think she's so much better than Deonna Purrazzo. She's good as gone, and this has to be some sort of way to get her to get some title shots before she goes because this ain't doing her any favors.
My only thinking is maybe Jazz is next in line to lose to Deonna Purrazzo, so they didn't want her taking a loss. But yeah, Jordan Grace. So many times we thought, well, I guess they're going to start building her up again to challenge for the women's title, since they really don't have. They've been in a basically in disarray since Kylie Ray retired. But who knows? Who knows what's going on? It's a head scratcher.
First of all, I'd like to do a shout out to my man Eddie Winkler, part of the Main Event Misfits, as coined on Best Friend Show. But yeah, this is Jordan Grace deserves much more than this, and I think we're gonna see it. We have to see her go because this is enough, man. I'm done.
All right. So next up, this used to be our biggest, I guess, nitpicking point, the X division. Not so much anymore. X division's been on the rise. We have TJP defending the X division title against our guy, Ace Austin. Remember when we watched him jump off scaffolding like 20 feet in the air at the Rahway Rec Center?
as soon as he came out with the gambit coat and the trench and the cards on his knee pads, I said, Ace Austin is a guy who I will forever root for. And seeing this guy wrestle is just unbelievable. He may be the best at what he does right now in professional wrestling. Ace Austin is the best X Division high flyer you want to say. And this match was just baller. This was fire.
Yeah, Ace Austin wins the X Division championship. I only see the division becoming even bigger now. I wonder if they're going to still keep the option C gimmick where you can cash in the X Division title for a world title shot, because that will be interesting once we get to Rebellion. Once we get to the main event picture and talk about that Impact Heavyweight Championship. Leroy says, I take a loss anytime I watch Phil on a live stream. Ouch.
Just call me the Triple H. Just call me the Triple H of podcasts, because anyone who goes up against me takes the loss. I got
Phil,
that sledgehammer, baby.
Hang in there, Leroy. It gets better. All right. So Ace Austin, your new X Division championship or champion. Yeah. So now we're into. I think we're into the main. Oh, we're into the tag team championships. Sorry,
Well,
Oh no, the women's belt. Sorry,
we
my
might as well
screen.
just skip the women's match. Deonna
Yeah.
Purrazzo beats ODB in a glorified squash match, and what we just needed to keep going.
Yeah. No. ODB. She tapped out real quick. Yeah. We sound like a broken record at this point, though. The knockouts division.
Mhm.
They need someone. They need to add some talent to this roster.
They have it, and they refuse to, and they keep jobbing her out to
Yeah.
everybody.
All right. Impact Tag Team Championship match. The Good Brothers defend against Finn Juice, David Finlay, and Juice Robinson. Big surprise as far as I'm concerned. Big upset. Finn Juice, your new Impact Tag Team champions. Phil, your thoughts on this?
Whew, this was insane. This match was so good. Eddie, if you match was awesome. This match delivered in so many ways. The big LG Doc Gallows is absolutely on fire right now. Inside the ring, outside the ring, he's just killing it. And I think this leads to a bigger storyline when it comes to this tag division.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see who Finn Juice, if they continue the feud with the Good Brothers, if they pop up on AEW. Yeah, basically the door is wide open on what can happen now that the forbidden door has been open. But
You ready?
yeah,
You ready?
excite. Go for it.
You
Go
ready for
ahead.
this?
Yeah.
Your new tag team champs are going to be Kenny Omega and Carl Anderson are going to be your new Impact Tag Team Champions. And the team that's going to beat the Young Bucks on AEW is going to be Kenny Omega and Doc Gallows. So
Oh
you're going
wow.
to have the belt collector gimmick start happening. He's already got the AAA championship that they restated now. So they're sort of adding, now that he's got Mox out of the way, right? And he's sort of focusing, and he's going to face on Impact for that championship. This is the start of the belt collector gimmick. This is where he starts getting a little bit of everything.
I like it, man. Book it. Main event time. Rich Swann defends the Impact World Championship against Moose, who's defending the TNA Championship. Moose wrestled maybe the match of his life. No, maybe the second best match of his life, because his best match of his life was against that six man against Kenny Omega when he was going balls out. He was on fire the entire match.
Ooh.
But he proved he's the top big man in wrestling, I think. I don't know if there's anyone more athletic his size.
That moonsault body slam when he literally just jumped from the base of the mat onto
Yep.
the top rope was out of this world, and he hit it in just one quick swoop. He was just like, "Hold on, Rich, I'm taking you for a ride." And he just picked up Rich Swann like he was nothing and flipped over. It was
Yeah.
incredible to see.
That being said, Moose doesn't win. He sends out a tweet where he's basically says he's going to take some time off and reevaluate his career. We talked about it before. A lot of contracts are up in Impact. I don't remember if Moose was one of them. Do you have any fear of Moose leaving Impact?
I mean, yes, I do, but
Yeah,
I think because he may be getting to learn his weight. He's starting to think that, unfortunately, Impact is so good at what they do that they are just a feeder system for your new big two. Like when
yeah.
you've got the WWE who's handing out contracts hand over fist just now to keep people away from AEW, and AEW is going to sign anybody, i.e., Christian. Like you are going to you're gonna
Christian's a
get
big star, man. You take that back.
I mean, I love Christian, but I mean they signed the Big Show, they signed Christian. They're just handing out money hand over fist as well. I fear that Moose may be I mean, if he goes anywhere, personally I'd love to see AEW, but if you don't think Vince McMahon wants this guy, you got
You
another
you
thing coming.
you would think he would be Vince's wet dream, a guy that big, that athletic. I honestly don't see him making a dent in AEW just because
Mhm.
I feel like their roster's so stacked. I feel like in WWE at least, I feel like Vince would be a fan of his.
Like no discredit to Bobby Lashley, who's the current WWE champion, but when you got a guy the caliber of Moose who can do everything Bobby Lashley does, but better with more athleticism, with a dynamite character and amazing mic skills, you sign this guy and you put the rocket, you strap it right to his back and you send him sky high because this is a guy that can go on shows. This is a guy who can go on your ESPNs. This is a guy who can go on your NBC Sports and actually talk about football legit and
Yeah.
actually I think he's a WWE wet dream caliber superstar. I actually hope he goes to the WWE because as much as Vince McMahon has fucked up every star guy, this is the guy that you really in WWE ways, you cannot fuck this up. He's just so good at what he does.
Speaking of WWE, Dex wants to know: does anyone watch WWE anymore? Uh, Sometimes. I definitely watch the pay-per-views, the big events. Occasionally, I'll watch SmackDown. Phil will tell you SmackDown is the show to watch if you're watching WWE right now. Roman Reigns as the tribal chief, the head of the table, he's killing it. Um,
Big E as Intercontinental Champion is awesome. He cut this promo fantastic.
Eddie says Vince will sign him and shelf him. Would get lost in AEW. Impact better shell out some cash. Yeah,
Yeah.
honestly, I feel like no one would use him better than Impact. Impact takes care of their talent. I think at least creatively. I can't speak money wise. Leroy wants to know why do they keep talking about wet dreams? Man, if you saw Moose, he's
He'd enter your back door in your dreams as well, Leroy.
So, did you see Drake Maverick tweet out after Moose like talked about everything he did? He said, "Wait, you did all those moves and you still lost?"
you I love Moose. I think he
Yeah,
really is. I think and everyone sees it. Kenny Omega, like, and I think the reason why he lost this match was because if you're gonna resign with Impact, he better be the one who defeats Kenny Omega because this is a shoe-in. We are gonna watch Rich Swann lose this championship to Kenny Omega at the pay-per-view.
yeah. So that's the thing. The winner of this match, they're going to main event Impact's next pay per view, Rebellion, and it's going to be title versus title. Impact World Champion Rich Swann now faces AEW World Champion Kenny Omega. I feel like everyone feels like this is Omega's match. He's going to win this, collect the belts, and take it to AEW. I think it would be a great thing for Impact. They only keep increasing in the ratings because of this
Hmm.
this current working relationship with AEW.
And you think maybe Kenny Omega would only have a shot to lose if it wasn't title for title. Like Kenny Omega's like Dynamite, the AEW
Yeah.
championship, heavyweight championship is on the line. So now you definitely know he's not losing this because he will probably hold this belt for longer than Mox. And I think eventually he'll lose it after that. But this is Kenny Omega is the man in professional wrestling as he was a few years ago. This is getting back to the Kenny he's that we've truly been waiting for, and I'm so excited because this is not even the cleaner version. It's a newer version, and he had the line of the night on Dynamite too that he didn't think anyone was gonna really like didn't think it was gonna catch on.
so so if Omega does win the Impact World Championship, someone from Impact eventually has to win it back. Is this like the storyline way of Moose coming back and he comes back babyface and he brings the title back home? Does Ace Austin cash in the X Division title for an opportunity against Kenny Omega, or does Rich Swann, he just second time around he gets the best of Kenny Omega by
There's
interference from Moose or something like that?
there there is only two people who can really take this belt off of Omega, and it's got to either be Moose returning face, right? Because I think that would be huge for them. Um, but I think if it comes, if it's got to be someone other than Moose, it's got to be Eddie Edwards. You got to give the
Yeah,
guy who is the heart and soul of Impact Wrestling. It's got to be Eddie if it's not Moose, because I again think Rich Swann is there, but he just doesn't have the gravitas to take it away from an Omega. While those
yeah,
two
no,
do.
that would be awesome if they gave Eddie Edwards the nod, because I feel like they really didn't use him that well at the beginning of the year when he won, or like last summer when he won the Impact Championship, and it was a short title reign. You could tell they really wanted to get to that Rich Swann storyline. Phil, it gives Phil wet dreams just thinking about it.
Leroy, nothing excites me more than professional wrestling. So honestly, that ain't even a jab, my friend. That is truth.
All right, so it's time for AEW. AEW had a big ending that I can't wait to talk about. So let's get into it.
So the match card for the weekly. What I love about AEW is they're now doing a weekly matchup guide. So they said we were going to have Darby Allin versus Scorpio Sky for the TNT Championship. Ethan Page was going to be in action against Lee Johnson. Cody Rhodes was going to be in action. We're going to hear from Sting, Christian Cage. The Inner Circle is going to have War Council. Matt was going to be Britt Baker and Maki Ito and Nyla Rose against Sheeta, Rio, and Thunder Rosa. And so it was already a stacked card to begin with. And it all started off with Matt Jackson versus Ray Phoenix, and which was an incredible match, which saw Phoenix defeat Jackson.
Yeah, this was a fantastic match. I I forget what I was listening to, but they pointed out the Phoenix versus Nick Jackson match earlier in the year being even better, but this match was pretty damn good.
I think Nick Jackson is the better of the Jackson brothers.
Yeah.
Matt is more of that in-ring technician, like the further storyline hot tag guy, where
Hmm.
Nick Jackson is just your all-around, all-around stud in the ring. Matt has the better mic skills, so of course their match was going to be Matt. Nick and Phoenix's match was going to be better, but this is right up there. Phoenix just puts on a show anytime he's in the ring, and when it's weird because when he's not in the main event, it's when he performs his best. Like to lead off a show, you just feel like he has that extra energy to him.
Yeah, no, I'm really happy they're starting to spotlight him more. Who knew it would be in a tag team with Pac instead of his brother? But we'll get into his brother later in the episode.
So, and which is a good segue because next up it was Cody Rhodes versus Jobber Seth Gargis, in which it saw Cody win real easy with the figure four, and then lo and behold, here comes Penta El Zero Miedo from the Spanish commentary. Actually, used Alex Marvez to talk some trash to him.
Yeah, no, this was really good. He basically said something like, if Cody Rhodes is the prince of professional wrestling, then he is the lord of lucha libre, which is a nice tagline. They should put that on T-shirt.
He had some great one-liners in this.
Yeah.
When he said, "Let me speak to you in your language, American Nightmare." I went, "Oh shit!" That was such. This is what I want from a Spanish-speaking superstar. If you can learn a little bit of what you want to say in English and practice it, him having Alex Marvez gave it so that, oh, this is cool, he's translating for him. But then when he started to speak English, you're like, oh, he can do it. He just has somebody else do it for him. And it just turned the whole segment around. This just put Penta from where he's been sort of toiling in the mid card right up to the top of it. Like, this is exactly where you want Penta to be. And I would not be surprised if he does win this feud to put Cody on the shelf for a little while him and Brandy does have their baby.
Yeah, no, I like it. It keeps Cody away from the TNT championship picture, and it's a good feud for Penta, and I could see him getting the best of Cody.
So of the Nightmare Family, we continue with a backstage segment with QT Marshall, who is playing himself a dick heel. So this really good. And we'd be remiss. Mark and I do not watch it on TNT, so we did not hear the technical issues with what went on in the match. What we saw was a really good all ego promo to introduce himself. What we saw was an incredible match by Ethan Page, who just really, like, we saw him in Impact, Mark, and we were like, this guy's a star. Seeing him on Dynamite made me realize he's an even bigger star than we thought he was.
Yeah, no, I expect big things from all ego Ethan Page now that he is with AEW. This was a good match, good showcase for him, and you know, QT Marshall is getting a bit of a storyline now. He's turning heel on the Nightmare Family. He was out there to support Shoddy Lee, and he's not thrilled with Shoddy Lee.
The whole Nightmare Family sucks. Let's face
Yeah,
it. The
no.
whole Nightmare Family is garbage. And any
So
time a storyline comes with the Nightmare Family, you know it's garbage.
I will give them this. Maybe like a month ago when Shoddy Lee got his first Dynamite appearance where he teamed with Cody and they interviewed him afterwards, he was like thanking Cody and Dustin so much. And QT Marshall was in the background and he looked pissed off because he's Shoddy's trainer and he's thanking the Rhodes, but he's not thanking QT. So, you know, they were hinting at this for a while. So hats off to them. Even though it's QT Marshall, who we give a hard time to, I'm starting to like him because I listened to him on Talk Is Jericho. So good for him. It's time for QT Marshall to shine, Phil.
On Elevation, see it on Mondays on YouTube.
There you go. I'll take it.
There we go. So next up, we had.
Hold up. Dex wants to know what the technical difficulties were. So an NBA game audio was playing on the AEW Dynamite feed. So I don't know. TNT does carry basketball, so I don't know if it was one of their games. Just somehow their audio interfered in it.
They had a game later that night, a West Coast game that was starting at
Yeah.
11. So beforehand, on some of their other stations that wouldn't carry wrestling, they play the game that you wouldn't see. Sort of like a dark match, right? So you don't hear any commentators. It's just the game and whatever background noise from the fans are going. So you heard like all that because there's NBA starting to bring like fans back in there. You heard like defense and like burn, just like the weirdest stuff was happening. And poor all ego Ethan Page deserved better than what happened on TNT. I hope they sort of replay that again for other audiences this Wednesday.
Leroy says Phil calling someone else garbage. You know it has to be really bad.
You know, when garbage knows garbage, you got to know, Leroy. So Next up, we had the second of Tony Schiavone's interview. First, we had him try to interview Sting, which got interrupted by Lance Archer. Your thoughts?
Very strange. If this is the next program for Sting, it's kind of weird. Although he does have ties to Jake Roberts, but if he's coming out because it's the next program for Darby Allin, who Sting is sort of like his, I don't know, mentor or his cheerleader, then I get it because I wouldn't mind seeing Lance Archer going for the TNT title.
And don't turn him heel. Keep Archer the way he is. I
Yeah.
don't want to see. He was heel only because who he was going up against. Since he's turned face, again, he hasn't changed who he was. Do not make him do weird shit that turns him heel. Keep him Lance Archer. Let the fans decide who they want to back, and then give Archer the title because I'm just a bigger Archer fan than a Darby fan.
Yeah, and you don't want to change him from heel to face back and forth. That's a surefire way to get me to lose interest in someone. Just look at the Big Show. His basically his entire run in WWE, he went back and forth so many times, people just stopped caring about him.
Right. So earlier in the night, we had a little bit of a promo from Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston talking about what happened when it came to the explosion not heard around the world on AEW Revolution.
So, Dex, this is the barbed wire exploding death match we were talking about. When the timer went out off, the entire ring was supposed to explode. Instead, we got some sparklers and a couple puffs of smoke. They had a malfunction. It didn't go off as they planned, and it looked terrible. It killed a great pay-per-view, in my opinion. That pay-per-view was awesome. Which I want to add, I called every match and every surprise correct. We didn't get a chance to go over that, but I just want to say I called both surprises, Christian and Ethan Page, and I called every match. Come on, there's a reason I'm winning our fantasy league, Phil.
I cannot wait for this season to be over because I had like a 40-point lead and now I'm like a 60-point behind in second place, and I gotta reevaluate my impact. I gotta get on the Good Brother train because I'm thinking I'm gaining points, and then I just can't wait because as soon as we get into that season, Kenny Omega and Hangman are no longer attached to each other, so we get to break that up.
Yeah, no, they were my number one draft pick, and they're my highest point getters. Yeah, they've been fantastic.
So this promo by Jon Moxley was probably my favorite Moxley promo so far. I think having his real life friendship with Eddie Kingston and having Eddie do most of the talking was a really good aspect of saying, you know what, we're friends. I realized in a moment where you could have died, I would have sacrificed for myself for you, and it gave me some bad PTSD. It made me pass out from my anxiety. That doesn't make me a bitch. That makes me human, which really was a good way for them to cover up why Eddie Kingston was selling like it blew up.
Yeah, and Moxley saying Impact paid for the explosives was a nice touch. But I feel like Omega should put the blame on Michael Nakazawa because he gets blamed for everything on being the elite. So that would have been icing on the cake.
But this is what sort of led into our next segment, which was a Dynamite, pardon the pun, segment of AEW. We were supposed to hear from new signee Christian Cage, and as soon as Schiavone comes out for his interview, out comes Omega's music. The ladies with the brooms literally sweep him away. Schiavone sweep him off the stage, to which we get an amazing promo by Dirty Don Callis and the AEW heavyweight champion Kenny Omega, in which they just I don't care. It was 50-50 on whether people loved this segment or hated it because they felt like they were doing too much to cover up the explosion. But man, seeing Don Callis say it was a win-win situation no matter what, because now we fully embarrassed them. Just really made me feel better about the pay-per-view, in all honesty, and in which they played off the ring not exploding when Eddie Kingston came out and Omega said, "Oh no, it reminds me of when I got detention in the third grade." It was just so hilarious. And then to cap it all off, when it hits the one and he jumps on the ring and he goes, 69 me, Don. That was the line of Dynamite in its entire history. That had me roaring.
Yeah, no, funny stuff. So we end up getting a big brawl between Eddie Kingston, Kenny, the Good Brothers, and who comes out? I think someone comes out before Christian, right?
No, it was Christian.
Yeah,
He came out. Yep.
yeah, no, and Christian looked great. He almost hit Kenny Omega with I guess I don't know. Does he still call it the Unprettier?
I'm
Whatever it
gonna
is.
say I'm gonna say it's the Unprettier. That was always a great.
Yeah.
It's why Tyler
Kill
Breeze.
switch. Yeah.
It's why Tyler Breeze took it, because being
Yeah.
the fashion model gimmick, the Unprettier just was an awesome name for it. So I think he should keep it.
Yeah, so they're teasing some Christian Kenny Omega possibly happening soon. Do you think that's Kenny's next program?
I think he'll probably have a program with Eddie Kingston, and then I think he'll have a bigger. Because one thing AEW does do, I think we give them a lot of flack for being a new company at times, right? They do hold on to their ranking system, and they do keep up to it. Christian's going to have to earn himself up there, and I think that's eventually what he will do, and I think it's going to be a fun match for us to see. We're going to see it later down the line in their next pay-per-view, right? So I think that's going to be the main event of that match. Christian will work his way in there, get a few more pay-per-view buys, see Christian put over the younger guy, the guy who is the prince of professional wrestling right now, who's really just killing it. So I think that's where it'll lead. So I think we'll see Kenny build up his resume by beating contenders, and I think Christian will get that number one contendership, ultimately to fall short.
I'm really happy for Christian being in AEW and being featured in high profile angles and stuff. But I'm really sad we're not going to get Edge and Christian versus the Usos on the road to WrestleMania. I think that would have been phenomenal if they could have did something like that.
This was a really good sign. I may have just made that joke earlier about Christian, right? But this is such a good signing. This is big for them. Having a guy who's an innovator of the TLC match, one of the greatest tag team champions of all time, whether it be with Edge, and he had that great run with Chris Jericho when they were fighting over Trish Stratus. Christian brings nothing but entertainment and validity to a company that really needs more eyes on the product. And this is big time for AEW. I don't care who you are. You know who Edge and Christian were, even if you didn't stick around to see Christian become Christian and Edge become Edge.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree.
So we got up to our next match, which was a bit of a clusterfuck tag match, but this had some really good, amazing spots. This had an amazing spot before the match even started, because we have ourselves a new megastar in the women's division of AEW, and I'm gonna let the Moral Compass talk about it.
What can we say about Maki Ito except she is a superstar? I love this woman. She is fantastic. She is the fired idol. So apparently she was in a girl K-pop group in Japan, and she got fired for being what would they say, for being the
least popular one.
Yeah, the least popular member. And she is, I don't know, she is so she has so much charisma. She's funny. So she came out and she comes out and she's singing her entrance. Meanwhile, everyone else is brawling, but she won't stop. She wants to finish her song. The commentators are going crazy. They're loving it. And then when she's done, she starts hitting Sheeta in the head with some of the weakest mic shots, but she's so lovable. How can you be mad?
When they cut her music and you heard Shivani say, "Go get her, go get him, Maki," and she keeps singing, and JR said, "This is the damnedest thing." Commentary made this even better. I shit on JR a lot, and I know Leroy would probably take that out of context, but I give him his fair share of grief, and he really sold this segment.
Yeah, no, Leroy Maki Ito is she's a female wrestler from Japan. She was featured in their recent women's tournament, and she's like the breakout star. Even though she didn't win the tournament, she just has so much personality. Yeah, she's fantastic.
But the match ends with Baker and Rose and Ito defeating Shida, Mizunami, and Rosa. So ultimately, then we have Britt Baker go up against Britt Baker, put the lockjaw on Thunder Rosa. So setting up next week's main event, a lights out unsanctioned match between Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa.
Yeah, no, that this is these are the two top females in the division, a division that is shaky. Which women's division is worse right now, Phil? Impact or AEW?
AEW only because they have the pieces.
Yeah,
AEW
they just don't know what to do.
They just don't know what this Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker should not be stuck in this shit that's in there right now. Like for real, they should be fighting over this title. This has been so messed up since the tournament when Nyla Rose got to the finals to lose, who ultimately lost to Shida when you have the title feud on your hands with Baker and Thunder Rosa would be amazing. I don't need an unsanctioned match. I need a title match.
Yeah. Dex wants to know, is Brody Lee Jr. a good wrestler? Dex, he's a little kid. He's only like, what, 9 years old, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, he does train with TJ Wilson, Tyson Kidd from WWE. But yeah, he's just a little kid. He's sort of like the mascot for the Dark Order. His father was a fantastic wrestler, though. And yeah, the AEW is doing a great thing, I think, by letting him be part of the Dark Order and, just participate. But he does have a contract when he turns 18 if he wants it to train with AEW.
And it really cements the Dark Order as like a good cult. Like I watched a documentary about the Heaven's Gate cult, and they all loved it. It was nothing like bad. I mean, ultimately they all killed themselves because they said that their spaceship was coming. But it was like a cult in which they took care of each other, nothing bad or anything. It sort of cements them as good guys, and I think that scene when they come with Hangman really just furthered that point.
Dex wants to know if you could beat Brody Jr. That's kind of a weird question, Dex.
I could not. Yeah, I could not. You get like that quick roll up and we both lose.
Yeah.
We'd both be doing the job for Brody Lee Jr.
Oh yeah. Plus he's good with a kendo stick, so he'd get his hits in.
So next up, we had a TNT Championship match between Scorpio Sky versus Darby Allin, which saw Darby Allin defeat Scorpio Sky. Leroy, I knew I could count on you, buddy.
It's one of those good cults, Leroy.
It's one of those good cults. So this match was a really good back and forth match. Ultimately saw Allin defeat Sky, but Sky turned heel with a literal heel hook.
Yeah, no, you saw this coming if you had watched the previous week and Scorpio Sky was doing his commentary, which I didn't think was the best heel commentary, but maybe it was just leading up to it. I really like this heel turn. He needed something, I thought. SCU is, I mean, Daniels and Kazarian are still together, but Scorpio Sky really wasn't a big part of that over the last few months. So yeah, this is good. I think it's going to be a good character boost for him.
Yeah, and I think it was a nice little cool down match before we got to one of the best endings of a professional wrestling television show. Period. This was long term, long form storytelling at its best. The Inner Circle has a war council, brings out the entire Inner Circle. Absent was Wardlow, right? MJF talks about how they thinking they need a time for leadership change when we hear Sammy Guevara's music hit. Sammy comes out, says, as much as, you guys, basically kick me to the curb, in which Jericho reiterates saying, you know, you mean nothing to us. Sammy said, I got something to show you. Shows the video of MJF talk to Proud and Powerful and Hager, saying that they were going to basically all turn on Jericho during the War Council meeting tonight, in which it was a double swerve because Jericho, and it looks like Jericho and Sammy basically set the whole thing up to basically show the rat that MJF was.
Yeah, no, this was great, especially what when they showed that Hager and Proud and Powerful were in agreement with MJF, but once they took that first step forward, you're like, oh, it's gonna be a double swerve, and it felt so good because you got to watch MJF backpedal, and what happened next, I was not expecting.
When MJF said, I didn't want to take over your stupid little group, I just wanted to be there while I was building my own. And out came Wardlow with FTR and Sean Spears and Tully. And when they came in there and they just decimated the Inner Circle. The beer bottle straight to the head of Hager, steel chair shots to everybody, a brutal attack on Jericho, ultimately ending with Wardlow power bombing Jericho off the stage. He was wearing a crimson mask by the end of a segment. Sammy Guevara took one of the most brutal chair shots I've seen, where his head went through the steel chair, so it was wrapping around his neck like a noose. This was a brutal beatdown. This had the fans booing. This was heel heat. If this was an Attitude Era days, trash would have been thrown in the middle of this ring. That's how brutal and good this ending was. It made me pissed off too, and I haven't felt that feeling since Jericho got beat up by DX when he was trying to get the world championship from Triple H.
Yeah, no, this was a great beatdown, and it started. I don't think it was a beer bottle. I think it was a little bit of the bubbly bottle to the head of Jake Hager. They take out the big man first. Sean Spears does that brutal chair shot on Sammy into the turnbuckle. This was great. I love seeing Tully part of it. We were singing Tully's praises last week. I would say, is there anyone more badass than Tully Blanchard? I love that he's getting a spotlight and he's part of this. We were saying who's the new Four Horsemen? Well, it's MJF, FTR, and Sean Spears, with Tully serving as the JJ Dillon and Wardlow as the bodyguard. I absolutely love it. Wardlow, we keep saying he's the breakout star. If anyone turns on this faction and goes babyface, it's Wardlow. He's the first member out of this because he's such a star, and he looked like a star in that beatdown. The power bomb off the stage to Jericho. It was awesome.
Remember when he first debuted? We were watching the All In pay-per-view. We were watching that, and we saw the preview of this guy in there, like, just show up, almost looked like a Street Fighter character, where he was rolling up his sleeves, had women on both arms, and just beat fools down. And it said, "Coming soon, Wardlow." Like, you saw him next to everybody in the dress shoes, black pants, and just the black tank top. Like, he looked like a star amongst the entire group, and you just know, and even JR couldn't help himself but say, this is the man we're going to be talking about when this is all said and done, Wardlow, because when it was all said and done, We did. Wardlow was the man.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I really love this faction. I'm happy for Sean Spears. They finally found something for him, and I think he fits in great with this group, sort of as the enforcer of the unit. Yeah, this is awesome. I would have never picked MJF as my leader of this. I mean, I'm going to keep calling it the Four Horsemen faction because that's what we've all been speculating. It never crossed my mind that it could be him, but I really like it. It works.
He's the Ric Flair of the group. Like
Yeah.
this is, and by Ric Flair, I don't mean like greatest of all time, woo Ric Flair marks. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about they needed a pompy, cocky, arrogant asshole to lead their faction, like a Ric Flair, just have that personality type. He MJF, as young as he is, commands the respect. He commands your attention. This is gonna be. I'm all for a group of factions. I think it's what I think, New Japan really showed this off. It's sort of feeling like more of a sporting event. You have different teams, you have different divisions, you have different people within those teams. This is going to be so good, and I hope they take the name of War Council because that's what they interrupted, and this is where they really declared war on the Inner Circle during their War Council. I think that would be a great name if they ended up taking that.
So I heard spoilers, and I think the name of the faction is called Pinnacle, which isn't it doesn't sound as cool as War Council.
I hope not.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
my,
Who knows? Maybe Arn Anderson filed for the rights to the Four Horsemen name. Maybe he gets that, and eventually they just call themselves the Four Horsemen.
I hope they don't call themselves. I mean, I hope they don't call them anything that relates back to it because I think we're already seeing a lot of past talent on there. We're seeing a Christian, we're seeing a Big Show, we're seeing Sting, we have Jake the Snake, we have Tully, we have Arn, right? If we keep taking these names saying, oh, they're the new horsemen or just the horsemen or the four horsemen, you're going to start diluting the future as you keep pushing forward and keep pushing these factions with these newer guys using these older talents who have the cachet to elevate them. I think that's what AEW is doing. So I hope they don't take anything related to the Horsemen. I hope they just keep it as sort of like, okay, we're honoring the past but moving forward with this future.
Yeah, no, you have a point there, and I really like your idea for the name War Council. I might steal that, name a book War Council.
Hey, if you stay on the book, I'm taking the art job on it. So I will be the lead artist
Sounds
on
like
that.
a plan.
We'll have our whole Indiegogo campaign.
Yeah, the First Love Pod Gods comic
collab.
book.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, Phil, where can people find you at?
You can find me posting art now on Instagram and Twitter at Animated Phil.
Yeah, no, I will say you actually have been posting artwork. I saw your Ramboon or Rambu, whatever character commission. Looked awesome. And you guys, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Coney Waves. Make sure you subscribe to Primetime Poulton, hit the notifications, and check out Sea Dog and Codename Kill Switch. We have about 33 hours left. Make sure you get in there. Back the Babe Box, man. You won't regret it. Anyway, Phil and I, we will see you next week to talk some wrestling. Thanks for watching, guys.